ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायण स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतमृतवर्षिणी भगवतीमष्टादशाध्यायिनी अमुत्वामनुसन्धामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी। नमो अस्तु ते व्यास विशाल बुद्धे फुल अरविंद आयत पत्र नेत्र येन तव्या भारत तैल पूर्णा प्रज्वलितो ज्ञान मया प्रदीपः प्रपन्न पारी जाताये तोत्र वेत्र एक पानये ज्ञान मुद्राये कृष्णाये गीता अमृतुहे नमः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दुग्धा गोपाल नंदना पार्थो वत्सा सुधीर भोगता दुग्धम गीता अमृतम महत्। वसुदेव सुतं देवं कंस चानूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानंदं कृष्णं वंदे जगद्गुरुं। भीष्म द्रोण तथा जयद्रथ जला गांधार नीलोत्पला शल्ये ग्राहवती कृपेन वहने कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थाम विकर्ण घोरमकरा दुर्योधन अवर्तने सोतीर्णा खलु पांडवै रन्नदी कवर्तका केशवा पाराशरे वत्सरोजमलं गीता अर्थगंधोटकं नानाख्यानक केसरं हरिकथा संबोधन अबोधितं लोके सज्जन षटपदे रह रह पेपिये मानम मुदा भूयाद भारत पंकजं कलिमल प्रवंसे न शेयसे मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघ्यते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानंद माधवम्। यम ब्रह्म वरुण इंद्र रुद्र मरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवे वेदै साङ्गपद क्रमोपनिषदै गायन्ति यम सामगा ध्यानवस्थे तद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यम योगिनो यस्यन्तं न विदुसुर असुरगणा देवाय तस्मै नमः। So chapter 12, Bhakti Yoga. So this chapter is the climax of the Bhakti. Whenever lower level of Bhakti, with the help of that, with the understanding of that, we cultivate all these qualities, then we become a yogi, united with God, with the help of the devotion. Okay, so we ended our class with verse number 17 last week. Yana harishyati na dveshti na shochati na kankshati shubh ashubh parityagi bhakti man yasame priya. So Lord Krishna is saying that he who neither rejoices nor hates nor grieves nor desires, renouncing good and evil, full of devotion, is dear to me. Okay, so person has transcended the lower layers of the personality. Person is getting the bliss, the happiness, the joy from the higher, which is eternal, which is everywhere all the time. So happiness is not dependent upon the flimsy temporary. So fully fixated in that, no matter what. So he says that kind of a devotee is very dear to me. So we talked about it last week. So if you have any question, you can ask right now. Otherwise, we'll try to finish verse 18, 19, and 20. This chapter has only 20 verses. One of the shortest chapters. So number 18. Samaha shatrau cha mitre cha तथा मान अपमानयो शीत उष्ण सुख दुखेषु samsang vivarjita. Sama means the same. So that means a person who is same. Shatrau, to enemy. Cha means and, mitre, to friend. Tatha means also, man apamanayo, in honor and dishonor. Sheet ushna sukh dukheshu. Sheet is a cold, ushna is a heat, sukh is a pleasure, and dukh is pain. So in cold and heat, in pleasure and pain, some the same. Sangha vivarjita, free from attachment. And continuation of this, tulya ninda stuti moni santushtaha yena kenachit aniketa sthirmati bhaktiman me priya nara. So Tulya Ninda Stuti. To whom criticism and praise are equal. Mauni, silent. Santushtaha, content. Yen ken chit, with anything. Aniketaha, homeless. See, Niket, Niketan, that means a home. Niketan, right? So, Aniketa, homeless. Sthirmati, steady-minded. Bhakti man, full of devotion. May means to me, Priya dear, Naraha, that person. So he who is the same to foe and friend, enemy and friend, also in honor and dishonor, who is the same in cold and heat and in pleasure and pain, who is free from attachment, to whom criticism and praise are equal, who is silent, content with anything, homeless, steady-minded, full of devotion, that person is dear to me. Okay? So very first term in these two verses is equal to enemy and friend. The estimation of our relationship with another as enemy or friend is generally our own psychological reaction towards the other person. And it belongs essentially to our heart. So a person of perfection, a yogi, is one who is not identifying himself with his mental estimation of things and people. So he maintains the equanimity, uniformity of attitude towards his friends and enemies. Yeah, because he looks at the soul. So that doesn't mean he doesn't take the proper action. Proper action is taken with the body. But mind is still calm. That's what he means by that. Okay? Knowing who is your enemy and who is your friend, that's very important. But keeping your mind stable. So that's why that's what same means. And honor and dishonor. Honor and dishonor, we judge it by our intellect. That somebody is giving me honor, somebody is dishonoring me. So a true devotee is the person who stays in the spirit and watches the intellect. So all through the storms of the intellect, see, this is the storms of the intellect that I'm getting honored, I am getting insulted. Those are the storms. So he maintains his equanimity at that time also. Some places will get honor, other places we won't. But that doesn't mean that we should get disturbed by it. We should still stay equanimous. Same in heat and cold. So heat and cold is at the physical level. The body is feeling too hot. Do something about it, but don't churn your mind for it. Do not get disturbed with that. So all the experiences at the physical level, at the mental level, at the intellectual level, you are being attacked from outside. So as you are being attacked, take the action accordingly, but keep yourself stable. Focus on the real self. That's what he means. He says that kind of a person is very dear to me. Not a person who just keeps on fluctuating. Any small thing happens and starts to react. That's not a devotee. Okay? Free from attachment. We talk about attachment. Attachment is like an identification with the matter equipment. That is attachment is talking about, like a body, mind, and intellect. So when we are attached to the body, mind, and intellect, attached, we lose the stability. So he says, who's free from that kind of attachment? It's not that we should not be attached to God, to the divinity. That we need to. But detachment from the temporary. To whom praise and insult are equal. That really means not paying too much importance to the words which come from other people's mouth. We all know that today somebody could be praising. You turn around and the same people could insult you. So keeping a very healthy distance from it is very important. It's not that we should not listen to what others are saying, and based upon that, we should not make some improvements in us, but dependent upon others' praise and going into the depression because somebody insulted us, that's not a healthy attitude. Okay? So praise and insult are in themselves nothing more than a passing fancy for a devotee. Because sometimes the people who express them also, they just express it just for the sake of saying it. We should always see who is the giver of the praise and the insult. Is it our guru? Is it our parent? Or is it just a acquaintance? Where is it coming from? It's very, very important. But getting shaken up all the time, that is not a very healthy mental attitude. So that's why he's making us aware of these. Then he says he is silent. Over here, this silent means silence of the mind. Because in silence only we can connect with God. So a true seeker of wisdom becomes a man of a few words. Even outside, they don't speak much. They are not chatterboxes. But internally, it's more like an internal peace, internal silence they have. And that's how they connect with the higher. Okay, that's called the mon. Content with anything. Normally, our life is, average life is that I'm not going to be happy unless I achieve that. I have that. Sometimes it could be a physical weight and sometimes it could be a bank account. Sometimes it could be how many people I know or what kind of a position I have. The devotee is content with anything. Whatever is coming, it's because of my prarabdha. I want to do the best I can, whatever I do. But internally, I'm going to be content, because if contentment is not there, the connection is not there with God. So that contentment is, which is called santosh. It's a virtue. There is a saying by Kabir. Kabir is a great poet. Often we recite his poetry. He said, Malik itna dijiye, jaane kutumb samaye. मैं भी भूखा ना रहूं, साधु ना भूखा जाए. So I just want only that much, just enough to feed myself and my family. And if somebody comes, I should be able to give it to them also. That's all. I don't want any more than that. Okay. And another thing happens, as we rise up on the path of spirituality or devotion, our needs, they start to shrink. Okay. In the past, maybe we thought we need so much. But when we feel that, yeah, I'm in the company of God more and more, I have much needs. And There are bare necessities remain only for the body. Everything else you just get detached from it. That's why we often see the saintly people with a one piece of cloth wrapped around, one little bowl for water, and one stick. That's all. Nothing else. Okay? Nothing else. Wherever they go, they just feel comfortable there. Then homeless. That is another quality. Homeless. Do we need to just get out of the homes? No. While living in our homes, detaching from this possession that I own it, the ownership of it. The deeds could still be in our names. That doesn't matter. But what is in our mind? That is more important. Okay? So home is generally which provides us the shelter. Shelter. So it's just a shelter. We should not think that we own it. Whether we are living in a palace or whether we are living in a hut, just a shelter. Or under a tree, that's a shelter too. So from all sense of possession and material shackles, we should detach from. So his mental condition is indicated by a simple word which says homeless. No attachment to the place of residence. Okay? Because we all know that today we are here in this home. Are we going to be here forever? Not even in this home, the body, but outer home also. We have changed many homes. Nothing is ours. But the feeling of that I possess it, I own it, I have worked hard for it, it is keeping us away from attaching to the higher. There was a one saintly person. He visits this king. And the king's people, they took care of him very well. And in the morning when he was leaving, he thanked the king. He said, King, I really thank you and your servants for keeping me and offering all the hospitalities to me in your dharamshala. Dharamshala is if you're from India, you know that it's a poor place, people's motel. Anybody can go there. Rich people make it, but anybody can go there, spend the night and then leave. Hardly any amenities there. So here he was in a palace and he told the king, thank you for keeping me in your dharamshala. And king just looked at him. What are you talking about? We gave you all kinds of luxuries, beautiful food, nice bed, and you call it a dharamshala. So king asked him, why did you call my palace a dharamshala? He said, in a dharamshala, people come and then they leave. They just stay there for a little while. About 50, 60 years ago, I came over here. Your grandfather was the king. Then I came here 30 years ago. Your father was the king. Today you are the king. So it is a dharamshala. After 20 years, if I come back, you won't be here either. Dharamshala. But he did say that thank you. So that's how we should look at it, our residences too. Temporary shelters for our protection, that's all. Very temporary. That is called homeless. Okay? So homeless doesn't mean leave the homes. Just to drop that attachment to it. So steadfast in his intellectual understanding of the goal and ever striving to attain his divine ideal. That is a Bhagat. He says, this kind of a Bhagat is very dear to me. That's he's calling a Bhagat. So this is almost a suggestion, even though by implication, that one who is at least striving to live these values is a full grown man. That's why he used the word nar over here. If you try to, you are a man only if you, man means it's not just a gender, it's just like a human being. That's what man means. Okay, for the women also, for men also, it's a person. You're a full grown human being if you're trying to cultivate these qualities. And Lord Krishna says, this kind of a person is very dear to me. Very dear to me. So there's a list of all these qualities mentioned in Urmil's book also. And I think in your book, which you have, there's a list. If it's not, you can write them down yourself also. Because these are the qualities we need to cultivate. And in the last verse, Lord Krishna, according to Lord Krishna, this is dharam. Because we often wonder, what is dharam? This is dharam. Not only dharam, he says it's a immortal dharam. So cultivating of these 36, 46, whatever number, it doesn't matter, because sometimes we can just break them down or sometimes we can combine them. So some authors, they said there are 40, some said 32, some said 36. So you can make your own list, but idea is to cultivate these qualities, not get confused by the numbers. And Lord Krishna said this is dharam. He says, Ye tu dharam amritam idam yatha uktam paryupasate shraddha nahamat parma bhagta te ativ me priya. Ye means who, tu means indeed, dharam amritam, immortal dharam. Dharam ka amrit. Idam means this, yatha means as, uktam, declared, paryupasate, follow, shraddhana, endued with the faith. So faith has to be there. One day we'll talk about faith also, because there's a lot of confusion about faith. And Lord Krishna also in the next section, there's a full chapter on the faith too. Mat parma, regarding me as their supreme. Bhagta, devotees, te means they, ativ, exceedingly. Me priya. Me means to me, priya means dear. So far he has been using the word priya. Now he says exceedingly dear. He says, they indeed who follow this immortal dharam, as described above, endowed with faith, regarding me as their supreme goal, such devotees are exceedingly dear to me. So you can see the path of devotion is not a mere sentimental explosion or an excessive emotional display. So path of devotion is to cultivate these qualities in your personality. It's almost like a blossoming of the human personality. And we are supposed to surrender our limitations. See, normally we just strengthen our limitations. See, limitations are always at the bodily level, at the mental level, at the intellectual level. We got to surrender those. And we got to acquire this new kind of a vitality during the moments of deep contemplation. And that is what devotion is. So in this verse, the immortal dharam, Sanatan dharam. So all these qualities, when we cultivate, we are walking on the path of Sanatan dharam. But first we have to digest them properly, understand them properly. We got to, only then we will assimilate them fully. And when we assimilate these qualities fully, only then we can say that we have started on this path of perfection. So there are physical, mental, and intellectual tuning we need to do. It is not just enough to sing a prayer in the morning and evening, or go to the temple once in a while. No. It is a full-time endeavor to become a devotee. That's why he says endowed with faith. And over here, faith means the necessary capacity to assimilate spiritual ideas into ourselves. How? Through subjective personal experiences. But to understand what is subjective, what is objective. Subjective experience means it has to be our experience. When we read about it, when we talk about it, those are only objective experiences. It becomes a subjective experience when I feel it, it becomes my own. It's not away from me. So he says such devotees are supremely dear to me. So this concluding verse, it creates a little commandment for us. Also a divine assurance to us also. That when we cultivate these qualities in ourselves, we will gain the supreme love of Almighty. And that's what devotee wants. All our life, we have been begging for love from the world. Our parents, our teachers, our siblings, our spouses, our children, our grandchildren, we have been begging for it. But over here, and in the worldly people, they never tell us how will they love us. Because there's always a personal interest in all of them. Over here, God does not have any personal interest. All he is telling us that cultivate these qualities and I will love you. And these qualities, they will help us to live in this worldly life also. Life itself becomes very easy. And at the same time, he says, you will be walking on this immortal dharma also. And by doing this, you are coming closer to me also. So this is our homework, the real homework. We can call ourselves anything we want. Belong to any ism, belong to any race, belong to any gender, but these are the qualities we all need to cultivate. Then we'll say that we are really, truly walking on the path of dharma. And this Wednesday, coming Wednesday, I'm going to talk more on dharma. So if you, I'm not working Wednesday morning, 10:30 to 11:30, but according to Lord Krishna, you can see that beautifully he summarized it with this. So now let's see how Urmil has summarized this chapter in her words in poetry. And then after that, we'll start the next class, next chapter 13. So, Urmilji.
Can I ask a question before?
Okay, if it's pertaining to this, yes.
Okay. So I'm curious about the term eternal dharma, and also why he uses the word amritam, which I think means nectar.
Why did he use word what?
Why does he use the word amritam, which means nectar?
Amrit. Amrit means immortal.
Oh, immortal. Okay.
Yeah, that means it never ends. It also means eternal. Another. So that's what Amrit also means. Eternal.
What
okay?
is eternal dharma?
Eternal dharma. All these qualities are eternal dharma. So that means from time to time it doesn't change. From a place to place it doesn't change. Okay, so these values are good in this country, in another country, 5,000 years ago, today, and even from 5,000 years after. They are forever. These are everlasting qualities which will take us towards the perfection. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, Urmilji. Unmute. Jyoti, can you unmute her?
And happy Good Purnima. Thank you for teaching us. And every day, even though I have written the book, but I learn more and more every day. And I really started to enjoy more and more of this, though my attention has gone into the distribution of the book because of COVID, but that's all in the game. So here I go, reading the discourse 12 of Bhagavad Gita. There are 20 verses. Bhakti Yoga, the path of, these are all paths to get to where we want to get to. And this is the path of loving devotion. Arjun asked Lord Krishna. See, this Arjun is always asking questions. So question number 12, some devotees worship a personal God with a form. Others worship the formless, impersonal God. Of the two kinds of worship, which is more practical and perfect to attain union with the Lord? Lord Krishna. He just has to get a question and he can talk forever. So here goes Lord Krishna. I regard the best yogis to be the ones who, with steadfast faith, worship me with dedication. And those who fix their minds on me and worship my personal form with loving devotion. They also attain me who worship the formless aspect of the absolute truth, Brahman, who's also the imperishable, the unmanifest, all-pervasive, immovable, and the eternal. However, to reach me, devotees must control their senses and their minds to foster high morale, high morals or morale. They must also be even-minded under all situations and exult in the welfare of one and all. For an average embodied being, to fix the mind on the impersonal God is arduous and unrealistic. Formless God is hard to envision and comprehend, so to worship the unmanifest is difficult. Some devotees humbly dedicate all their actions to me and regard me as the supreme goal. Some pray and meditate on me with exclusive devotion, dedicating all their heart and soul. O Partha, I become their savior. I release such devotees from the cycle of birth and death. Their souls unite with me and I liberate them from the worldly life of endless length and breadth. Lord Krishna then explained to Arjuna how to worship him. First of all, fix your mind on me alone. On me alone. Submit your intellect to me and follow my advice. By engaging your wits in me, you will forever live in me, and for sure, me you will realize. Secondly, if fixing your mind on me is hard, then practice reflecting on me with devotion. Try to constantly control the mind from sense objects and worldly matters with conviction. Thirdly, if you cannot practice remembering me all day, then try to dedicate all your work to me. By doing service to me with dedication and for my pleasure, perfection will come to thee. Fourthly, if you cannot even perform actions entirely for my sake, nor work for me in devotion wholly, then please attempt to give up the fruits of your action to me, and then you will advance spiritually. Better than the robotic practice of rituals is self-knowledge. And above that is meditation. Superior to meditation is to renounce the fruits of action, for bliss follows renunciation. Now, Lord Krishna continues to talk about the qualities of devotees dear to Lord Krishna. True devotee is free from malice towards all living beings, is friendly to all, and benevolent and kind. He is detached from possessions and egotism, which is pride. And he also has an equipoised mind. True devotee is always forgiving, content, self-controlled, and united with me in devotion. He is dedicated to me, surrenders his mind and intellect to me, and is firm in his conviction. True devotee does not agitate others, nor disturbs others or gets agitated by anybody. He is equal in pleasure and pain. He's free of fear and anxiety as a result of detachment from people and material things so vain. True devotee is indifferent to worldly gain, is skillful, carefree, calm, and surrenders to me. He is externally and internally pure and carefree in all undertakings. Thus, he is dear to me. True devotee neither rejoices in trivial pleasures, nor does he agonize over worldly woes. He yearns not for gains, nor frets over any losses. All his good actions on God he bestows. True devotee is alike in honor and dishonor, joy and sorrow, heat and cold, and in scorn or praise. He is the same to friend and foe, shuns unwise relations, and his mind is fixed on me with grace. True devotee is content with whatever he encounters and has no bond with his residence. He prefers silent contemplation and is full of devotion to me without any pride or arrogance. Lord Krishna then recapped the qualities of a devotee very dear to him. Devotees who instill the eternal moral values and virtuous qualities in their personality with sincerity, and those who with faith are intent on me as a supreme goal, they are very dear to me. And even I love to hug them, even if there is coronavirus.
Thank you, Urmil. Thank you. Beautiful. Beautiful. So,
And on page 115 of my book, 115 and 16, I've listed 35 qualities, and then the conclusion of who is dear to Lord Krishna.
yeah, do look at it.
And for those who still are contemplating on buying the book, we still have some at the temple and ashram, and I'll be taking them more today. And you can also write to me and I'll be happy to send it to you. And Mr. Kalra, did you get your book? And I sent him the book to
no,
Texas.
I think looks like he did. Yeah. Thank you very much, Urmil. Beautiful.
Okay.
So let's start chapter 13 now. And the title of this chapter is Kshetragya Vibhag Yoga. And in some of the books, the first verse, for some reason, authors did not include. And so in your book also, this first verse is not included. And that's where Arjun is asking a question. So, but I will go through this question. So you can just listen to it. And some of you might have written it in the past class also. So it's Arjun's question. He says, Prakritim Purusham cha eva kshetram kshetragyam eva cha etat veditum ichami jnanam gyayam cha kesha. So Prakriti is the nature. Purush is the spirit or the soul. Kshetra, the field. Kshetragya is the knower of the field. Ev means even, cha means and. Etat, this, veditvam, to know, K-N-O-W, know. Ichami, I wish. Jnanam, knowledge. Gyayam, what ought to be known. And Keshav is Lord Krishna. So Arjun is asking, Prakriti and Purush, also the field and the knower of the field, knowledge and that which ought to be known. He says, these I wish to know, O Krishna. So this is what Lord Krishna explains in this chapter. These terms in detail also. From this chapter onward, there's a lot of knowledge. That's why it's called a section of Gyan Yoga. There is a complete chapter on faith, a complete chapter on divine qualities and demonic qualities. There's a big chapter where he explains the tyag and the sannyas also, and different, the karam, what really motivates the karam and what is the karam. So we'll have lot and lot of full of knowledge, this particular section. So, but from here also, from Arjun's question, we can see he wants to know this Tattva Gyan, this knowledge or the terms which are the very fundamental to this essence, this principle. So he says Prakriti and Purusha first. So Prakriti is the inert equipment. That is a Prakriti. And then Purusha is that truth in there. That's why that's called the spirit or the soul. So in some people call it a matter and spirit. But we have to understand that the spirit in itself has no expression except when it weds the Prakriti. So it's like a combination of the Prakriti and the Purush, only then we see this beautiful creation. It's just like electricity by itself cannot manifest as light. There has to be equipment. There has to be a bulb. But bulb itself cannot give the light either. So it's like a wedding of the two. So that's why Arjun is asking, what is this Prakriti and what is this Purush? And then the second set of question is, what is the field and the knower of the field? It's just like a farmer sows seeds in a field and reaps the harvest from it. We sow the field of our body with good and bad thoughts and actions, and we reap the consequent destiny. So field and the knower of the field. The knower of the field is the status of the knowing. So this is that principle when it is functioning in the field of the known. Okay, so in Sanskrit it's called Kshetra and Kshetragya. That's why the title of this chapter is Kshetra Kshetragya Vibhag Yoga. And then the third set he wants to know, what do we need to know? What is that knowledge? So Jnanam and Gyayam. So Prakriti and Purush, Kshetra and Kshetragya, Gyan and the Gyayam. So the mechanism and the object of knowledge. True object to be known. There are many sciences out there. They're all called knowledge. But among that, what is the real knowledge we ought to know? And the Vedas, they even talk about it, that without knowing this, without having that, nothing can be known. So that's why Arjun is putting all these questions. So 3 pairs over here, he wants to know. Okay, so let's see how Lord Krishna is answering, because the rest of the chapter is actually devoted to answer this question. So, but remember the question though. If you forget the question, then you get confused with the answer, because answer has so much elaboration. But all that elaboration is answering the question. So do not forget the question. That's why very important. I don't know why this author has missed this verse, but to me, I think it's important to know these questions. Okay. So Lord Krishna says, Idam Shriram Kauntya Kshetram iti abhidhiyate etat yaveti tam prahu kshetragya iti tadvida. So this particular verse, he is answering the very first question. He says, Idam means this. Shriram is the body. Kauntya for Arjun. Kshetram, the field. Iti, thus. Abhidhiyate is called. Etat, this. Ya means who. Veti means knows. K-N-O-W-S. Tam means him. Prahu, called. Kshetragya, the knower of the field. Iti means thus, Tadvida, the knower of that. Tadvida, knower of that means knower of that. Lord said, this body, O Kaunteya, is called the Kshetra, the field, this body. He is mentioning the physical body also, he is mentioning the mental body also, intellectual body also, egoic body also, all the bodies, this body. So this body, O Kaunteya, is called the field. And he who knows, it is called the knower of the field. By those who know them. That means who know both of them, Kshetra and Kshetragya. That means by the sages, by those yogis who knew how to discern this truth about both. Okay, so they said there's a knower of the field, which is the Atma, and rest of this is just a field. So this terminology has been given by the self-realized sages. So when he says Tadvida, self-realized sages, who were situated transcendently at the platform of the soul. So from there they can see, they can perceive all this through the distinct entity which is separate from their body. See, when we can see little back, sit back and then see, we can see it more clearly. When we are really in the middle of it, then we cannot see. So these sages, so Prahu, they called it Tadvida, the knower, that this is what it is. So Idam Sharira and Kshetragya. So that's why I was saying that this was a subjective experience for these yogis. For us, so far, it's a very objective experience. Subjective experience means you have really experienced it firsthand. And these sages, they experienced it that way. So that's why it's a discriminative knowledge. They could clearly see the matter layers. They could clearly see the spiritual core also. And they could tell it very clearly that there's always fluctuations in the material layers. But in the core, which is same for everybody, which is same everywhere, there's no fluctuation in that. And that's why he used the word Tad Vida. Okay, so two aspects, inert and vital, like a vital consciousness. Sometimes we use that word, or we say Jad and Chetan. Okay, so Jad is the field, Chetan is the soul, which gives the Chetanta to the Jad, which gives it, which alivens that Jad. As we know that when the soul leaves the body, what do we call this? Just a body, a dead body, right? So the body, O son of Kunti, is called the field. Field for the energy to play in. See, just like we have a field where the kids go there and play. So this is a field where our energy, the soul, can play with the help of all this equipment. And equipment is what? The assembly of matter layers through which life passes, and this individuality is expressed. And that's why these definitions are given. And then he who knows it is called the knower of the field, principle of knowing, the functioning of all this. Then he says, Kshetragyam cha api mam vidhi sarv kshetreshu bharat. Kshetar kshetragyo jnanam Yat tat jnanam matam mam. He further elaborates. He says kshetragyam, the knower of the field. Cha means and, api also. Mam means me. Vidhi, no, K-N-O-W. Sarva kshetreshu, in all the fields. Bharat is for Arjun. Kshetar, kshetragya, of the field and of the knower of the field. Jnanam, the knowledge. Yat means which, tat means that. Matam, matam is considered by me. Mam means my. So know me as the knower of the field in all the fields. See, this is my field and I know this field. Then he says, so Lord Krishna is talking now, he says, know me as the knower of the field in all the fields. O Bharat, knowledge of the field as also of the knower of the field is considered by me to be my knowledge. So it's just like a starting from the individual entity. Now he's talking about himself. So right now, he is identifying himself when he says, know me, identifying himself with the self that is everywhere. It's like a oneness with the Brahma. From that state of consciousness he's talking about. It's not just a Krishna in that only body. Right now, Krishna is one with the Brahma. See, you all know that Bhagavad Gita is part of Mahabharata. This is just one small section of Mahabharata. Total Mahabharata has 100,000 verses. Bhagavad Gita has 701 verses. So, in these verses over here, he's talking about with the oneness with the God. Later on, if you study Mahabharata, when Arjun, after this war was over, they are sitting in Hastinapur. One day, Arjun asks Lord Krishna, he requested, can you repeat Gita to me? Lord Krishna said, no, I cannot. He admitted he cannot. Why? He said, I cannot do that with the same efficiency as I did in the battlefield. Why? Because he said, I was then in a full state of yoga. Right now, if I relate to you, it will just a story. So that's why Lord Krishna is using this term, I. Okay? So, know me as the knower of the field in all the fields. Wherever the field is. Our body is the field. There's a body of the plant is a field. Body of the other planets, that's a field also. All the fields. This is, I am the knower of that. And knowledge of the field as also of the knower of the field is considered by me to be my knowledge. Okay. This chapter, if you do not think it through, it becomes very confusing. Very deep philosophy. So many of you have actually talked to me in the past that cannot understand this chapter. This time we are going to go through slowly, and I'll give you enough chance to ask questions so that all the doubts can be removed. When you understand this chapter, then it's the most beautiful chapter. A lot of questions get answered through this chapter, which in the beginning we have. So Kshetra is the field of matter which is constituted of various equipments of perception and the vast fields of the perceived. Remember that. That is a Kshetra. And Kshetragya is the subject that enjoys the activities of the instruments of perception and the world perceived by them. So do not get too confused with these tough words. So Kshetra and Kshetragya. So we'll start with number 4 next week. And if you have any questions about these, we'll talk about these also. So it's 11:25 right now. So since we have a havan to do at the ashram today, but I would like Neeta to sing the bhajan. And before the bhajan, I'm going to do this while she's getting ready. Neeta, you can unmute yourself and keep everybody else muted so that we can just hear her voice only. Sing it with your mute button on with her, okay? But we got to just have her voice only, otherwise it just becomes too noisy. But let me just do this Shanti part before she starts. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vishishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, Nita.
आओ गुरुदेव दर्शन दीजो, आओ गुरुदेव दर्शन दीजो, तुम हो जगत के दाता, तुम हो जगत के दाता। आओ गुरुदेव दर्शन दीजो, आओ गुरुदेव दर्शन दीजो, तुम हो जगत के दाता, तुम हो जगत के दाता। तुम ही हो ब्रह्मा, तुम ही हो विष्णु, तुम ही हो ब्रह्मा, तुम ही हो विष्णु, तुम ही हो शंकर रूपा। सृष्टि स्थिति लय स्वरूप तुम हो, सृष्टि स्थिति लय स्वरूप तुम हो, सृष्टि स्थिति लय स्वरूप तुम हो, तुम हो अनादि रूपा। आओ गुरुदेव दर्शन दीजो, आओ गुरुदेव दर्शन दीजो, तुम हो जगत के दाता, तुम हो जगत के दाता। अनाथ नाथ दीन बंधु, अनाथ नाथ दीन बंधु, तुम हो आनंद रूपा, तुम हो आनंद रूपा। अज्ञान नाशक शरणं संरक्षक, अज्ञान नाशक शरणं संरक्षक, अज्ञान नाशक शरणं संरक्षक, आत्म ज्ञान प्रदाता। आओ गुरुदेव दर्शन दीजो, आओ गुरुदेव दर्शन दीजो, तुम हो जगत के दाता, तुम हो जगत के दाता। Thank you. Happy Guru Purnima to everybody.
Thank you, Neeta. See, that's what happens when we are singing from our heart. Tears flow from the eyes.